Alright, so we're in Blender 3.3, but you should be able to follow on any older version as long as you are in 3.0 and above, because in general, the core features of the geometry node are still the same. In this video, we're going to change a couple of settings to optimize our scene for all the work that we will be doing. So first things first, I'm going to choose General. I'm going to select all of these, hit X and then delete. And the first thing I'm going to do is basically to hide this bar because I feel it is taking a little bit of space. Click on the right mouse button and hide the show tool settings. This will save a little bit of space, and in case I want to access all of those settings, I will always find them right here, the tool settings bar. The main reason I'm doing that is basically to save a little bit of screen space because I'm already magnifying my screen to make it more clear. Let's right now adjust our render and output settings, and the first thing, let's jump to the rendering tab, and I'm going to change from EV to cycles. The device, I'm going to choose GPU compute, and make sure to choose the GPU compute in case you do have an external graphic card. For the viewport sampling, I'm going to make it 32. It doesn't matter, I just want it to be a low number, and in any case we're not doing a lot of complex stuff, so it will be good even if we set it to 32. And for the render, I'm going to make it at let's say 256. For the light paths also, I'm going to choose 8 because 12 is a little bit overkill. Under film, I'm going to check transparent because I don't want to see the HDRI later. I want it to be transparent. For the output settings, I'm going to basically leave all of these to the default values. I'm not going to render any animations or any of that, so we're good to go. And for the render passes, make sure to check denoising data, which will help us later to denoise our renders. And to use all of these denoising data, we need to tell Blender to use it. So make sure to jump to the compositing tab, click use nodes, and basically this is where our render will come out. So all you have to do is to go Shift A, search, and let's look for denoise. This is the denoising node. Let's put it right here and connect the denoising normal to the normal and the denoising albedo to the albedo. And basically the render right now will come from here. It will get denoised, and this will be our final result. Let's right now get back to our normal layout, and I'm going to drag this a little bit up, and let's change this from the timeline to the geometry node editor because this is the main editor we will use to create our bridge. So click on geometry node editor, and there are a couple of things that we need to adjust right now. First things first is that there is a really handy add-on that you need to activate, which is the Node Wrangler add-on. So make sure to go to Edit, Preferences, and in the add-on tab, make sure to look for Node Wrangler. It is this one. Make sure to activate it. It will give us a lot of handy shortcuts that will make our life easier inside of Blender. So just check this box and save your preferences in case they are not auto-saved. And let's exit from here. And right now, I just want to mention a couple of shortcuts that you will always find me using when I'm working in the geometry node. So because we don't have any object right now, we can't add any nodes right now because we don't have an object to work on. So just to explain everything for now, I'm just going to add Shift A to add an object. I'm going, for example, to add a plane, and let's click on new, and let's, for example, call it bridge. And basically the things that I'm going to use, first of all, I want to do the magnet option right here. It is called snap, which will basically make all the nodes snap to the grid, which can be useful when organizing the different nodes. And another handy option, which is the timings, which will basically allow you to see how long each node will take to compute. So the first shortcut that you will always find me using is the control space bar, which will allow me to maximize when editor to make it full screen. And in case I want to get back to my normal view, we'll hit control space bar again. Basically, wherever the cursor is, I will be able to maximize the editor. If the cursor is here, control space bar, I will maximize this, control space bar to exit. If I want to maximize the geometry node, control space bar to maximize it. I can do all of my work here because it is so big. Hit control space bar again to exit. This is a really handy shortcut, especially when we will have a really big node tree. The other shortcut, which is to add objects or nodes, basically you can do it by going add right here or add right here, or basically the shortcut I like, which is Shift A, which will give you the same exact menu. So Shift A to add nodes. So let's, for example, search for a cube, and let's click on cube, and let's put it right here. And this will bring me to the next shortcut that we will always find me using, which is the control right mouse button to connect nodes. So here's a scenario. While we're working, we will have a really huge node tree, and the more we add nodes, the more complex basically the node will become, and nodes will be really far from each other, like something like this. So it will be really hard to actually pick this and drag it right here. That's why there is a really handy shortcut that the Node Wrangler add-on will give us, which is the Alt right mouse button. And this shortcut will basically allow us to connect really far nodes. And just as an example, let's say I want to connect this to this one. So instead of basically like trying to connect all of these and all of that, just hit Alt with the right mouse button, and this will basically give you these kind of line, which will give you where you want to connect your node. I will do it again. Make sure your cursor is above the node. Alt, right mouse button, and this line will appear, and basically the red will indicate where you will connect your nodes. I want to connect it to this one, so just drag it over this and release both the mouse and the Alt button, and this will basically connect them together. So even when the nodes are really far, this shortcut is a lifesaver. And the other shortcut, which is basically if you want to disconnect that line, which is basically by holding Control and the right mouse button, which will give you this knife, and all you have to do is basically to drag over the link that you want to cut, and this will basically disconnect them. And the last shortcut that I want to explain, which is basically the shortcut that we use to join different geometries. For example, we do have our plane that we added, and we want to combine it with this cube. So there is a node called Join Geometry, and you need to connect both of these to it. But let's say that both of these two nodes are really far and all of that. There is a really handy shortcut, which is holding Control, Shift, and with the right mouse button, I'm going to drag between the nodes that I want to join. Let's say I'm going to join this with this one. So Control, Shift, and with the right mouse button, just drag over both of these. You will have this green outline around the nodes that you will join, and just release, and this will basically add a Join Geometry node. And as you can see, it is combining the cube that we added, the cube node, and the group input, which is basically does have the plane. And as you can see right now, we combine the cube with the plane. So this is also a really handy shortcut. I'm going to hit Control to disconnect them, Control, Shift, drag over the two nodes to connect them. And we will probably need right now to delete this node. So to delete it, just hit X, and let's connect this to the geometry. And this is how you can mix different nodes. And by the way, you can always like just minimize or maximize a node by clicking this small arrow. Alright, so these are the most common shortcuts that you will always find me using, just in case basically to not get lost in the geometry node. And let's right now jump to the last part of this video where we will adjust the lighting of this scene. So right now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm basically going to select both of these two nodes, hit X to delete them, and maybe also let's just delete this node tree from this object and delete this plane by hitting X and delete. And right now it is about time to basically adjust the general lighting of our scene, which I'm going to do by going to the shading tab from here, and I'm going to change from object to world, and from here I'm going to add an environment texture or an HDRI, and inside the project files folder you will find images, and inside here you will find the sunrise .exr, and this is the HDRI that we will use. So all you have to do basically is to go to your node editor, go Shift A, and let's look for environment texture. Let's connect it right here to the color, go to open, and all you have to do basically is to click on sunrise and open image. And right now we're going to use this HDRI to lighten our scene. It is not visible yet because we're not in the rendered view, but when we will jump to the rendered view, it will basically be used to lighten our scene. Why we're not seeing it? Because as you probably remember, we activated the option under film transparent. That's why we're not seeing it. If you disable it, this is our HDRI, but because I don't want to see it and it will distract me, that's why I'm checking transparent. But yeah, we're using it, don't worry. Let's get back to the layout, and right now all you have to do is basically to save your Blender file by going to File, Save As, pick a folder somewhere in your computer, and for example I'm going to call it bridge_01_project settings. And by the way, all of these files you will find them in the resources folder in case you want basically to use them later. And just hit Save As. Boom. And right now we're ready to start working on our bridge. So yeah, see you in the next video, everyone.